and gentlemen, your attention, please.
Just a catching strays over here.
You're in for a hell of a show.
Keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs.
It's time for our main event.
Welcome. It's Friday night, and we feel all right here on the Ruthless Variety program. You'll notice it is time to buckle your chin straps. It is time to wear your helmets.
Yeah. This cycle has given me CTE, so I'm wearing the requisite Guardian cap, which Tua Tagovailoa should have been wearing, and I feel great. I feel great in this thing. This is actually more of a novelty helmet. I haven't really been fitted. The problem is I just haven't really been fitted. I haven't really been appropriately fitted. Well, you know, when I wear a helmet, typically I need like a custom fit because I have such a large brain.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
I thought small brains were smarter.
No. That's a common misconception. I watched, Holmes, I watched a lot of Entourage growing up, and I know from Vinny Chase that big head means big star.
Oh,
and,
okay.
That's me.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. I'm going to take mine off just for a moment so I can conduct the show, if we're okay with that.
Yeah.
Is that all right with that?
Yeah. I just want to say from all of us, we're really glad to have you back. You were out there. You're traveling. You're doing your thing, fighting for the conservative movement. But I also happened to notice our good friend was on Fox.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you look dynamite.
Oh,
pal.
that's nice of you to say.
But I noticed something at the beginning of that clip that I think needs to be discussed. I just think it has to be discussed amongst
What
all
did
of
I
us.
do?
I'm really glad you're bringing this
Yeah,
up.
spaghetti. Can we play that?
No.
We are pleased and honored to welcome Josh Holmes in person, former Chief of Staff to Senator Mitch McConnell. Josh,
Good
good morning
dimple in
to
that
you.
tie.
Morning.
As you see in the box down there in Washington, D.C., so you are free for a day
I'm
here in New
free
York.
in person.
Are you doing the Ruthless podcast from here?
No, I'm not.
Oh, wow. They're going to be without. Okay.
I had to take a day off, but I wanted to come see my friends.
It's good to have you here.
Come to see your friend. Are we not enough for you?
Well, this
Is this family?
It's a very good
Josh,
question.
Josh,
No.
is this family not enough for
well,
you?
you just said it. There's a difference between family and friends. There's a difference between family and friends. This is indeed family. And I couldn't be family if I could talk to you with a straight face without that frickin' helmet. I mean, this is only family could talk to somebody like.
He's got a straw.
He's got a
I
straw.
thought ahead, folks. I have the straw.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a good face mask.
Yeah.
No, listen. As it turns out, fellas, when you run campaigns and you're trying, you want an outcome. There's a certain amount of resources that are involved, and lo and behold, there's some in New York
Yeah.
that need to be exhibited.
Yeah, but only dapper gentlemen such as yourself, so well spoken and put together, can deliver on such resources, and for that we are extremely grateful.
Well, it's very nice of you to say. I loved. First of all, it was like 75 degrees.
Really?
Jesus, listen,
Oh,
my
look,
phone,
his phone's
my
ringing.
phone's
Bring it
ringing.
back.
I mean,
That's how you
look.
know it's a live episode, folks.
Oh, it's campaign season. I'm sorry. I apologize. But, look, it was great weather, great times. We did what we needed to do. But I'm really happy to be back with you guys. Yeah. And, look, we got a hell of a show.
Great show.
You guys are going to be really excited about what we've got going on. Thank you to everyone who has liked and subscribed on all of these things, because it's the only way that anybody ever sees anything. And, God, there was hundreds of thousands of you last week on our Friday episode, so let's do it again.
But you really got to subscribe. I mean, it's free. Just click the button, subscribe, and that's how more people can see the show. That's how more people can find out about it. And what we've learned in our comments is that the new people who are coming in and listening for the first time love it just as much as everybody who's been here since day one.
Yeah, they just didn't know it.
And the point that I made in the previous episode is, so we had like over 150,000 people see that last Friday episode. And Duncan, it was like 40,000 votes in 7 states that decided the previous presidential. Everyone listening, this is the time. If you have not yet, cast your vote for Trump and get a friend to do the same. When you go to early vote, bring a friend and you double the effect. Because if we have 150,000 people see this and we get 300,000 votes, you look at the demographics, a lot of our listeners, a lot of the viewers of this are in swing states. We get it done ourselves. Get it done.
It's totally true. There is nothing that more gratifying for me than watching people post pictures on X of the I voted thing with their Twitter,
so
with their
good.
Ruthless hats.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just, it's awesome. We love it. We'll RT it. Keep coming at us, but we're going to have some good content. You're going to learn some things tonight. We're going to provide you an overview of where things stand, some early vote stuff. We're going to have some fun along the way. There's some variety.
We're going to have a lot of yucks.
And
This
I
is
think
gonna be
there's like
fun.
a King of the Hill in
There
there.
We
is.
got King of the Hill.
There is.
Holy
And it's gonna be a good
smokes.
one.
It's just an embarrassment of riches.
An embarrassment of riches. All
I
right.
had to take the helmet off, though, because I couldn't hear.
Well, that was my biggest problem.
Yeah.
I didn't know when to start the show with that thing
Yeah.
on. I'd wear it throughout, but
I'm keeping the straw, though.
as a commitment to you, the viewer, Jesus, it's just
It's a metal straw, not even using a plastic straw.
This is Drew's straw. I had to wash it out. Apparently, he uses this for coffee in the morning. He gets like an iced coffee with this. Just
my God.
Yeah.
And you don't want to meet the back office of Ruthless Variety Program because you would know how horrifying what he just said was. But anyway. Let's open with the opening clip here, and then we'll talk and discuss all of that. Or did we play the opening clip? Was
think-
it just making fun of me?
yeah. Sorry.
That was just making.
We have some insight. Back to making fun of me.
Poor guy misses all the production meetings because he's out there doing the Lord's work.
You're opening
And
me.
the only clip was a goof. I'm
You were
sorry.
like- you were like, hey, Holmes isn't here, so he's going to walk in cold. Let's make sure we make fun of him.
Well, I mean, I saw the clip and you called them your friends, and I was worried maybe we were less friends now, and I was a little crestfallen.
There's a coup d'etat here at the Variety Program, and I'm not happy about it. So let's go to the real news. The polling. Let's go to graphic 1, if you don't mind. So what we're looking at here is the national Trump v. Harris polling. Now, you look at it and you say 48.7 to 48.5 Harris over Trump, and you'd say, like, I don't know, I still don't feel great about that. Remember, the national popular vote is an irrelevant faction to this. Like, it just doesn't matter at all. Also, if history is our guide, Democrats usually need anywhere between a 3 and a 5 point buffer on the national popular vote in order to win 270 to go to the White House. And this is a situation where this is a hell of a lot closer than it was in 2020 or 2016, for that matter, for Trump.
Yeah.
So you gotta like that, right, fellas?
And I want to give an important caveat to all the polling that has come out. And like, sure, it looks great, it looks rosy, but this polling, it's like the weather. If the weather outside is good, yeah, it's good for playing ball, but you still got to go out there and win.
Great point.
My biggest concern and worry is like all these polls, the way that individual sides react to this is like, I don't want Republicans to see this and be like, things feel great. I'm going to chill and, we'll see how this turns out. Well, Republicans or Democrats are like, mobilize, activate culinary, harvest the ballots.
Yeah.
The reaction on our side should be, the weather looks good. Let's go play ball and let's win.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is what we wanted.
you
We
don't
got
want-
them right where we wanted. Now we have to win this thing.
You don't want to get overconfident. In 2022, I mean, we really did expect you were going to get a red wave across all of these states just based on all the polling that broke late for Republicans, and that didn't really materialize. It was sort of in these pockets of like New York and California and whatnot. So you're 100% right. I mean, like, be confident, but don't be overconfident.
Yeah, the absolute worst thing you can be right now is complacent. This
Yes.
election is literally in your hands. You can determine the future of this country. And what we've seen is that in a large way, Republicans have been out to vote early already. And we just have to continue that trend. If we don't continue that trend, we could lose to an idiot.
And that's the thing is like, this is their rules. The Democrats wanted to have like election day be 2 weeks. They wanted to have mail-in voting. They wanted to have ballot harvesting. I saw a tweet from our Republican candidate for Senate in Nevada, Sam Brown.
Yeah.
Where he was like, me and my wife are out here ballot harvesting. Yeah, we don't like it, but they made the rules. We're going to use the rules to win too.
Yeah.
That's it. That's like, we have them where we wanted them. 2 years ago, 4 years ago, it felt so bad because we're like, oh my God, look at these Dems, they're ballot harvesting, they're doing all these things, and that's how they got out ahead so big. We need to play by the rules of the game right now. We need to win this, and then, like, losers don't legislate. This is, we have it exactly where we always wanted. It's right within, victory is right within grasp. Everybody, like, I cannot stress enough, vote early, vote now, get that ballot in there.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of smart operatives that are all rowing in the same direction on this stuff. And you see things like America PAC and others that are out there making sure that people emphasize early vote. And I think that's the reason why you see these early good numbers. I just got to keep it up.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to this right now and you haven't made a plan to vote and you're like, oh, election day, I'll figure it out. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, just stop doing that. Like, look, I don't know, look at your schedule next week. You got a free Tuesday morning? Go do it. Go do it. Like a Wednesday afternoon? Just go do it. Just bank it. Because you never know what the next week brings.
Right.
And there could be a snowstorm and wherever. There could be a
Your kid
car
gets
accident.
sick.
Your
Something
kid gets sick.
happens.
Well,
Something-
and
the
you-
poll site's got a line that's 8 hours long. Like, don't let anything stop you. We all said that we would crawl through broken glass to vote for Trump. This is the chance. We all said it.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And our listeners are doing their part. They're
They
out
are,
there.
man, they're
vo-
so
they're
good.
voting.
They really are.
We had Scary Mary
Nice.
tweeted a picture of her vote sticker on a Ruthless hat. She said she voted early to make America great again. I know this picture isn't loaded in, but Spaghettis, I don't know if you can zoom in on this one. Maybe you can't.
Look at
But
this. This is just like he's
I'll
going
tell you.
extemporaneous here.
I'll tell you,
at this.
Scary Mary knows what's going on.
She knows
because
what's
she
up.
was out there. She voted, and it's a little bit blurry, but it's a Ruthless hat with a voting sticker.
I mean, that's what you want to see. Because, like, our listeners, I always say, not only are they the smartest people, but they're not just listeners, they're doers.
No, they're active.
They
Yeah.
move the ball.
You know, we will have really made it, guys, when election officials make people take off their Ruthless merch at a polling site.
They're like, oh, it's electioneering.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like once Ruthless merch qualifies as electioneering at a poll site, because if you show up with a Trump hat, they might make you take it off and put it in your purse or put it in your backpack or whatever. But once we get to that level,
Vote in your Ruthless merch.
Yeah.
That you're right. It's that. It's that. And if Las Vegas no longer takes the Ruthless parlay,
oh
They're
yeah,
like, oh,
that
too many folks have jumped in. They've been crushing us.
like who are
the
these
number.
idiots with the Bengals and the Colts and the Vikings and the Broncos? They do it every week. Well, it pays off, and oftentimes when it pays big. It pays big. Let's look at the top battlegrounds. Let's go to graphic 2. So the battleground states, we're talking about the 7 states that matter here in terms of their ability to go either blue or red. We're talking about Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, and Arizona. All of them are averaged into here in this RCP average. A little different than the national score. This is a Trump advantage by close to a point. But a point, fellas.
Yep. That's the thing. You can't emphasize it enough. This is going to be razor thin. Like, yes, we're all seeing on TV or on X these clips of Kamala looking like an absolute fool. And yes, it's true her campaign doesn't know what they're doing, but it's razor close, folks. Like, we got to get this done. We got to vote.
Well, which is why we keep emphasizing people turning out early, going in early voting. Is like, you may think like, oh, well, that's never going to happen to me, and maybe it won't happen to you. But if it happens to 1% of people who meant to vote for Donald Trump, he's going to lose these
Well,
battlegrounds.
I think we talked about this on Tuesday. When you have 75 million people,
Yeah. It doesn't have to be you. It just has to be people like
the
you.
percentage of people that have some family emergency, a weather event, a something that comes up in their lives, it's a non-zero number.
Yeah.
And it could be as high as 5%. You didn't have that in 2022. You didn't have that in 2020. The fact that people are getting engaged and getting a plan to vote early or by mail now could negate that. And if you looked at the 2020 election, if that piece of it was negated, may make the difference.
I think people are energized in this election for a good reason. It's that the government has been awful over the last 4 years, and they want change. And when they hear Kamala Harris talk about what she's going to do, she doesn't say she's going to do anything different than Joe Biden, and she has nothing.
Still doesn't
She's
have an answer.
She's an idiot. She's a blank slate. And thankfully, a good friend of the program,
God, what do you have
Jason Dudash, has written a book. And Jason's book is titled The Achievements of Kamala Harris. So just in case you want to peruse her career to educate yourself before the
We're
vote.
going to need a close-up again, fellas. He's really working the cameras here today.
I encourage you to pick up Jason's book because he goes into great detail all of the achievements of Kamala Harris. I mean, this is one of the funniest and smartest things I've seen this cycle, and I can't thank Jason enough. Big fan of the program. We're a big fan of yours, Jason. Thanks for sending that book.
I love this. What other gadgets do you have up your sleeve?
Yeah, this guy's
He's a gadget guy.
We sing, we dance, we entertain.
That's exactly right. So let's do some state-by-state stuff. Graphic 3, please, if you don't mind. You recall Tuesday we talked about the early vote in Nevada. Trump and Republicans writ large have now an advantage in early vote in Nevada. A note of caution there. Democrats created an electoral system that could only advantage them.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They literally did it by hand, and they did it with supermajorities. Entirely Democratic government, and you can't get rid of it. So it is what it is right now until you get more, honest to God Republicans in Nevada. But what you're looking at is an advantage in Nevada and then an advantage in Arizona. I'll be honest with you. I feel better about the Arizona.
Yeah, because it's durable.
Number.
It's durable, and also there's a history there, with the permanent early voter list of Republicans showing up early.
That was my point.
And when they do, Republicans tend to win elections in Arizona. With Nevada, you have to wonder. And I would love.
Well,
to
those election day drop boxes break at like a 65.
My seat's going
magically.
65, 35, in the history of election day drop boxes, it's a Republican advantage. In Nevada, whatever you need.
And also, don't forget, in Nevada, they have up to 3 or 4 days after the election for ballots to still arrive.
And
so
I would
when
love,
culinary's out there harvesting,
believe me,
we'll get
we
these
took
in.
that to the face in 22.
I would love to talk to somebody who's done an analysis. I'm sure some data person has, and that is of the people who have voted, what is their vote history, and what is the propensity of people, Republican and Democrat, left to vote? Because, the question has to be, with all of this early voting, is are you just cannibalizing election day, or are you actually mobilizing new, lower propensity voters?
But again,
all
I think,
that sort of stuff,
I think that goes back to this larger point that we just discussed, which is, yes, you could be cannibalizing election day.
It's an irrelevant point, but it's an irrelevant point because you want to get the votes in the bank regardless.
In the bank,
yeah.
There's got to be, when you take everyone, there's got to be a 1 to 2% issue amongst your own voting base.
I'm more thinking of it along the lines of prognostication.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yep.
What does this mean for what election day is going to look like?
But as election professionals, we often talk about the trend lines as we get closer to election day. And last month at this time, Kamala Harris had a commanding lead in the state of Nevada. And today we just saw on this graphic that Trump has edged her out. Yeah. And so maybe at the end of the day, they figure out a way to bring culinary in. And they take it away from Trump, but you cannot sleep on the fact that Trump has turned that state around and it's come online here at exactly the right time.
Can we look at, as you're saying this? Can we look at the early date? This is the early data out of Arizona, in the first graphic. I don't know, guys.
That's just a straight up flip.
It's a flip. I don't know if you guys completely understand the significance of that, but here the reason this is happening, it's not like groundswell. It's not. This is as tight as it has ever been. Mm-hmm. There's not a shift where everybody's just going to vote Trump. That's not what's happening. What's happening within the Trump campaign is that they've emphasized doing this very thing to put votes in the bank for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And people are doing it.
Yep.
That's why you see that flip. And you're not on the margins, the 1 or 2% whose kid gets sick, who can't make it to the poll on election day. They're banking that stuff early. we used to be very good at this, and it turns out like if this continues, we're good at it again.
And also, this is, I mean, we've said this many times on the show already, but you're not only helping the country by trying to make sure that we elect Donald Trump president, you're also helping the Trump campaign. Because now if they see, this person has voted early, we do not have to spend any money texting them to go vote. We do not have to send door knockers. We do not have to send, we don't have to have our phone banks calling this person. Let's deploy those resources in Michigan.
So there are a bunch of
Wisconsin.
There are a bunch of states, just so you know, there are a bunch of states that have either transparency rules or a voter integrity program, and it's designed to ensure the people who vote by mail, who maybe don't trust it,
You can track your ballot.
know
Yeah.
that their ballot has been submitted. And it's all online. It's available to the campaigns. So what you're saying is entirely right, in that what happens is that as Secretary of State's office uploads the ballots that have been submitted and says, this person voted, this person voted, this person voted. And a campaign has granular, individual data on each voter that is a Trump supporter, and they will not include that in the next round of advertising. There's not going to be anybody that knocks on your door. They'll be able to save resources as a
Yeah.
result.
So can I give an example of this?
Yeah.
So I'm, we're involved in campaigns and independent expenditure stuff all across the country right now, and recently just did that. Uploaded a file from, a battleground state where my original audience for advertising was nearly 500,000 people. And when I had uploaded that file, it was half the size.
Oh,
250.
interesting.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Half the size.
So
at
the
this point.
cost is half.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I just say that for all you, viewers and listeners, you're talking about making a campaign twice as efficient in the final week as it otherwise would be by voting early.
If you've made your decision, go vote.
Go vote.
It
Go
helps
vote.
the campaign so
You're
much.
saving so much money for conservatives out there who are advertising, who are sending text messages, you're making phone calls. That's why we emphasize it.
I bet
100%.
there's some consultants who don't like that.
I'm sure.
Well,
I'm sure.
Yeah, no, people.
They're
people
missing
like
their payday.
They get a little rip
Yeah.
on the end. Well, that's not the way it works here in the Ruthless Variety program.
And that's the other benefit for you personally, dear listener, is once you have banked your vote early and the campaign sees that, guess what? No one's knocking on your door anymore.
Yeah.
You're not getting any
Yeah,
phone
no
calls
bothering.
anymore. You're not getting the text messages
I'm not
anymore.
sending you any more Facebook ads.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So
and
then
if you get a Democrat knocking on your door, invite them in.
take up their time.
Waste their time.
Invite them in.
Be like, explain to me in detail Kamala's immigration plan.
Be like,
Please,
I'd like to
allow
hear
me
your-
to just chew up the resources of your campaign. You're making one door knock today.
Tell me
That's
about
it.
your view on why it is that transsexuals have been so discriminated against in men's sports. I'd like to know.
I'm a single issue voter.
I'd like to know about that.
And I mean, not only do you benefit, but also, hey, go for the gold. Once you've banked your vote, yeah, you won't be getting those door knocks from the campaign, but that doesn't mean you can't hit up your friends and be like, hey, I just voted early. It was super easy. What are you doing? You want to go? I'll give you a quick lift. Let's go do this.
And there are states where the early vote activity is working very well. I know we looked at an Arizona graphic, but graphic number 5 is Nevada early voting data. And this is interesting to me because if you look at this number, and for our audio-only listeners, there is a palpable shift towards Republicans at this point in 2024 versus where we were at this point in 2020. I mean, Republicans are now at 38% of the vote share today versus we were at 33%.
Can I just give a note of caution about all this enthusiasm?
yes.
We did pretty well in 2022 in this. It was tied.
Yeah.
And everybody looked at the 2020 numbers and was like, well, we were losing by 6 points and now we're tied. The early vote thing. And this is when, your rank and file Republican voter was skeptical of mail and early vote or whatever. But it was tied in 2022 in a Senate race that was very, very competitive. And the thought process was, well, your election day stuff is going to kick them over the top. And then the culinary and everybody else got introduced to this.
For our new listeners and viewers who aren't familiar with culinary, can we give them a little background there in Nevada?
Smug, I'd like you to
Smug, do it.
Okay, so Nevada is a very union-heavy state, specifically in the city of Las Vegas, which is a stronghold for unions. And culinary is the big boy of unions. It was essentially Harry Reid's, marching army.
His muscle.
For election days, sometimes they got to make sure that they harvest some ballots. Sometimes they got to crack some skulls. It depends on what he needs to activate culinary for. And they got this clown guy, John. There's this clown, John Ralston, out in Nevada, right? Biggest clown in the game.
Why are we being mean to him now?
He's an absolute trash clown.
I don't think we can be nice to him.
Yeah.
Well, I don't say. I'm just saying.
Look, he's one of Duncan's journal buddies, but he's a little trash clown, and his job is essentially to be the mouthpiece for culinary, to be like, everyone beware. I'm going to tell culinary that these numbers are where they stand, and I'm going to make sure culinary gets activated. Like Holmes is saying, beware of getting overconfident. Beware of thinking, oh, it's in the bag, because
You got to no doubt this thing.
the Dems have machines in place to go harvest those ballots.
Again, there has never been an election day drop box in a state where that's legal. The Republicans haven't won until Nevada 2022, and they won it with 67. That is an unbelievable anomaly that tells you everything you need to know about what you're talking about with the culinary, with the Democratic machine in Nevada. So just vote.
But
if you're in Nevada, just go out and get it done.
Dude, it's a very important point, and if elections and data don't do it for you, remember Leon Lett. Leon Lett in the Super Bowl picked up
absolutely.
a fumble, and he was running toward the end zone, and he held it out like
Do you
he
know
was
who got
going to win.
Wasn't it Don Beebe that got him from
I
behind?
think it was Don Beebe.
I think it was Don Beebe who got him from behind.
And he didn't score the touchdown
Yeah.
because he dropped the ball before he got to the end zone.
I'm gonna
Remember
breeze-
Leon Lett.
I'm going to breeze through a couple other graphics. Graphic 6, you take a look at North Carolina. Your home state, Smug. It's got a lead. I'm very confident in North Carolina, in large part because when it breaks late, and it breaks over the last 10 years decisively Republican. There is no reason in this great state of North Carolina that anybody would be voting for Kamala Harris after what has befallen that state here at the last month.
That's right.
I feel good about that. Georgia, here's what I love about Georgia. Guys, this has bedeviled Republicans over the last 4 years. It has been the worst.
It's heartbreak.
Amongst
Heartbreak.
the worst feeling. But the one guy who's figured out how to be completely separate from any sort of national trending or anything else that's happening in Georgia is Brian Kemp. Brian Kemp's fully on board. His operation that won him a record re-election, both in the primary and in the general, is fully on board and engaged in turning out Trump voters here. They tell me, although there has been a huge early vote, can we put that graphic up again? They tell me that this number looks very similar to models that they have when they're moving outwards towards projected day-by-day early vote and mail-in, and ultimately what it looks like on election day.
They're hitting the goals.
They are hitting goals. So Democrats got initially very enthused by the high turnout because Democrats have this knee-jerk thing where they're like, when everybody votes, we win.
Yep.
Nah, they don't actually feel that way anymore.
No, they don't feel that way anymore.
No.
They're like, well, turnout, I don't know if turnout's so great.
Yeah.
You know? And now turnout is pretty good, and they're not loving it. Can we go to graphic 7? So this is the early vote in North Carolina. Again, marked departure from where things have been. Now, we're not like crushing it, but Democrats lost 6% off their number. And that seems to be a common theme that we need to keep an eye on. Again, as you get closer to the election, these things can shift in a night.
And for the audio-only people, the portion of in 2024, Republicans early vote 13 days out is 34%. Democrats 34%. We're talking jump ball.
It's a jump ball. But if you look at it and you're saying like, oh, geez, that feels really tight. The thing that has shown up on state after state is that 40 to 34 drop that Democrats have at this point in early voting. And remember, in a lot of these states, they didn't have like COVID rules were new. Democrats were taking advantage of it. Republicans were not. And you look at that now, and you have a slide on the Democratic side and either holding steady on the Republican side or increasing, that's something to watch. I don't know if it's going to hold, but like if they're not enthusiastic, which I mean, look, intuitively, there's a lot of reason to understand why Democrats would not be enthusiastic about Kamala Harris. Something to watch. Anyway, graphic 8, please, if you wouldn't mind, Spaghetti. This is the Upper Midwest, part of the Blue Wall in Michigan and in Wisconsin. Lo and behold, what we were looking at, and these are all RCP numbers, Wolf. These are all RCP. So Real Clear Politics puts this stuff together. They average together a whole bunch of polls, which is a hell of a lot better than looking at like battleground states.
Thank God for Tom Bevan.
Yeah,
doing
a great
Runs
job.
things over that RCP.
Doing a great job. But if you notice in these two, Trump has a lead. If you look back to where these things were, Trump never had a lead in 16. He never had a lead in any of this in 20.
Right.
Like, this is significant,
Yeah.
in my view. At very least, it means that this is an absolute jump ball in both of the states. Again, if you're there, you got to vote.
Can I also say, we were discussing this a little bit, you and I, Holmes, before we went live, that there's a kind of a feeling of vibe among Democrats that, yes, they're not in the best of place mentally because Kamala Harris is a terrible candidate and it's become very evident to everybody, but they don't feel like they've lost this. They're not like, if you've only been watching news coverage or following this election on X, you're starting to feel like, oh, hell yeah, things are going great. The Democrats are not feeling like they've lost this. They don't think it's a wrap. They don't think it's over. And more specifically, they don't feel too great about how things are going in like Nevada, but they're still confident about that blue wall, Michigan, Wisconsin. So especially for listeners in Michigan, Wisconsin, let's make them weep. Let's make them cry on election night. Like when you see it is that close, we've got them exactly where we want them. It's time to cash those checks. Bring in the votes. Let's get this done.
Great
No
point.
question about it. Graphic 9, if you wouldn't mind, Spaghetti. This is the great state of Pennsylvania. If you're a listener to the Ruthless Friday program, we've told you for the last 7 months, there is no pathway to 270 for Democrats without Pennsylvania. Take a look at what you're looking at there. That's a Trump average W. And, like, look, this is the one that's just, it's been in cement. There's not a lot of movement. It's all within the margin of error. The skeptical part of me looks at this and I'm like, I don't know. There's a lot of institutional advantages for Democrats. And they've had a ton of success in Pennsylvania in recent years. And you've got an incumbent long-term sort of, senator with Bob Casey and everything else. But the fact that Trump is polling anywhere near an average win is a big deal. It's a big deal. And so, like, this is truly a jump ball. Now, the early vote numbers in Pennsylvania, let me be frank with you, it's not great. It's not great. Like, Democrats are kind of doing what they need to do.
I mean, that's Trump plus 0.6 in Pennsylvania, for those of you who are just listening to this.
Let's throw up the early vote in graphic 10. The early vote numbers are showing Democrats at 71-20 in early vote in 2020. They're 61-29. Okay. That's an improvement, no question about it. But now that you've normalized the process for Republicans, you expect them to do better. You're still at 61-29. That's a big gap, guys. That is a big gap.
Got to do better.
You got to do a lot better. If you are in Pennsylvania, you've made up your mind. Get your ass to the poll and bring your neighbor.
Get your fat ass off the couch. Harry.
Harry. All right, so Nate Silver has a view on this in graphic 11. Here's what my gut says about the election, but don't trust anyone's gut, even mine.
He says that he thinks Donald Trump's going to have the edge.
That's what he says.
Yeah.
And it's been consistent with what, I mean, look, we do this for a living. And it has felt over the last 10 days. I mean, I did a bunch of presentations to, shall we say, center left people over the last 3 days. They don't want to hear my message. But it's like, it might be coming for you.
And Nate Silver's not nobody. He had that same gut feeling about Obama in 08.
Well, and the reason why I wanted to include that graphic is because I feel like he's speaking for all of us. Like my gut says Trump is leading all this, and the data looks really, really good.
But don't trust it.
But don't trust it. It doesn't matter. All that matters is going out there and voting.
So our question of the day is: are Republicans overconfident? Are these poll numbers and these early voting numbers getting us to a point where we're like, oh, well, this is in the bag? And anybody who thinks it's in the bag, you're absolutely nuts. Mm-hmm. It's not in the bag. It's not even close. If you woke me up the day after the election and you told me Kamala Harris ran the table in the blue wall and she's the next president of the United States, would I be shocked? No.
Yeah. I mean, dude.
No, I wouldn't.
I've been telling you guys, I've been losing so much sleep.
Yeah.
This is so close, and it would be a nightmare come true.
What have you been doing?
The day after the election.
What have you been doing for that? You've been drinking?
Dude,
melatonin. I've been doing melatonin.
No, he's been like drinking Red Bull and ramming
that's during
Adderall
the day.
down his throat.
I've got to be like on point, doing everything I can during the day. And then when, like I told you about the melatonin thing, like I started taking melatonin every night. I take 2 of them, 3 of them. They do nothing.
Can we
they
have
eventually lose.
Can we have a conversation about this?
Yeah, sure.
I feel like you're oversensitive to your health.
Well, I mean, when I don't sleep, it makes me sensitive to a lot of shit. And I'm like, I can't tell you, it's like a living nightmare because I close my eyes and I'm like, it's the day after the election and they did it. We had Republicans not go out enough in early voting and Republicans squeaked through, and now we have the biggest idiot ever in the White House, and things are going to get so bad. The illegal immigration is going to be out of control, and these morons are going to run this country. You think things are bad now? Wait till you have Kamala Harris. Right now we have a zombie. There's only so much a zombie can do, but you have this absolute moron. It keeps me up, man.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm there with you, pal.
Dude, we're all. I mean,
all
that's
there.
why we're 24/7 at this point. I mean, Jesus, I just got off a train and walked right into a studio where I had a clip of me making fun of myself. Thanks, Duncan, you asshole.
Hey, I just want to know, are we family or are we family?
Yeah, well, we're family. All right, so are Republicans overconfident? We're going to get to the comments from last episode, which is Kamala making inroads in the suburbs. We're going to read all of your stuff right after this.
So, Ashbrook, with economic and political conditions as volatile as they are right now, precious metals can be the difference between losing and protecting your investments.
And you know that Fed has been printing money like crazy. We always joke about the old Fox News B-roll where you just see sheets of cash printing and printing. Well, that's been happening nonstop since 2020, and it really affects buying power.
Yeah, and I mean, what you can do to protect your investments is to, roll over a 401k into a gold-backed IRA. And for that sort of thing, John, I like to talk to our friends at Lear Capital.
Well, with good reason, because they've been around for basically 30 years. They've got $3 billion in transactions, and it's no wonder because they have a risk-free guarantee.
Yeah. So call Lear today at 800-707-4575 or go to LearRuthless.com to get your free gold and silver wealth protection guides. There's no obligation, just free information on protecting your hard-earned dollars with gold and silver. Call 800-707-4575 or go to LearRuthless.com. Also, ask how you can get up to $15,000 in bonus gold with a qualifying purchase. Call 800-707-4575 or go to LearRuthless.com. Okay. Hold on. Because this is a live show, we are not getting we're going to get to the comments in a second. Thank you for everybody who's submitted them and is in the chat right now submitting them. But I just have to point out here, because it is a live show,
I should get in chat,
that Holmes during that commercial break peed like a racehorse.
I did.
He did.
I did.
Didn't miss a beat. Got in, out, back on set, and here he is before the commercial break is over. He's back. So what do you have to say for yourself,
I'm a professional,
John?
Michael.
Meanwhile, Ashbrook, it's like,
There was no
Ashbrook.
commercial break last week. You guys just left me out to
you
dry.
were the commercial break. It's like, okay, we got 20 minutes. Everybody get out your top hats and canes, sing and dance.
Yeah, you were like, hey, we're powering all the way through.
If Ashbrook can do a minute and 20, actually, we need to maybe make a contest.
Maybe get like a stopwatch.
Yeah.
See.
Uncle.
We're gonna.
I can't.
If we did prostate exams with the Ruthless Variety program, you think we could do numbers on the live stream?
Yeah, no, there's like a 16-pound bowling ball he's got going on there. All right, so enough about our anatomy. Although I did appreciate, by the way, in the last episode how you talked about the Senate candidate from Missouri.
Yeah.
What's his name again?
Oh my God. Am I gonna get it
demonetized.
right?
We're gonna pronounce his name.
What's his
again.
name? We're gonna
Coons?
demonetize by.
I look. In my defense, I thought I looked at it on the piece of paper and I thought it was started with a K and it rhymed with dunce. And people are telling me that apparently I was saying naughty stuff.
Well, if the shoe fits. Okay, let's get into the comments from last week. This is Kamala making inroads in the suburbs. Let's go to The Voice, as we always do.
Well, fellas, this first one is from Richard B. Short. And Richard writes,
My chair went down again.
What is going on?
No. I'll get it back
we
up.
got a comment here,
Oh,
Michael.
sorry. Excuse
Live
me.
programming, dog.
Oh, sorry.
Richard writes, I don't think there's any Republican left sitting on the fence on who to vote for. Any Republican voter who is openly against Trump in 20 will probably stay that way, if only to save face, even though they know Kamala is a moron and they may just stay home. For Republicans who remained silent and voted for Joe or stayed home in 20 may swing back to Trump. Those Republicans needed very little reason to vote for a Democrat or stay home. All the Dems needed was a semi-competent candidate and running mate, parenthetical, and they couldn't even do that.
Richard, you hit it.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
hit it.
Yep.
That's exactly right. There's a whole bunch of people that just don't like Trump. They just don't want any part of his tone. They don't like his personality. An awful lot of people in the Midwest and a lot of these swing states that are like, just New Yorkers I don't like. I mean, that's a thing. I'll be honest. We're all from, well, 3 of us are from the Midwest. That's a thing. Like it or not, it is a thing.
Folks from Colorado just straight up like Trump. What are you gonna do? It's a good state.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's always
twice
votes for him.
by big numbers. But it is a thing, and I think they're right in that you needed to be persuaded that you just had to continue to do that against their own economic interests and their own personal interests, and they didn't provide that.
Right.
And that's why this thing is sitting where it is.
Right.
Good comments. Okay, what do we got, Duncan?
Well, before I get to that, I need to put in an order for
Boy, you've got a lot of stuff
more
going
bourbon.
on, Duncan.
Oh, it's a live show. So let me just go ahead and hit the dinner bell.
Did you guys know that we'll be hit?
Could I get some
Wait.
Bardstown, please?
Poor Wolf. Poor Wolf. The man served our country honorably for years, and now you're ringing a dinner
It's
bell.
the easiest gig in
it's-
showbiz. He hits on, and we got to do the singing and
It's
dancing.
disrespectful, Michael.
It's
Okay.
disrespectful. Might be disrespectful.
Well, Lee and I are texting right now. I'm going to go ahead and... Oh, excuse me. That's my dinner. Thank you.
Can you just
Thank
read
you,
the-
Lee.
Should I go to comment 3?
No,
while he's
comment
doing
number
that?
2,
I think we can.
MB Griggs.
Okay.
MB Griggs writes here, Kamala is not making inroads in the suburbs, but Trump is making inroads with women. Abortion is not the biggest issue we face. Maybe a little attention to insecurity the open border has caused, or direct answers on her plan for immigration, fracking, etc. There is not an authentic bone in her body. Yes, I definitely agree. We are tired of being lied to by the media and our elected officials who say one thing, then do another.
Did you guys cover
Yeah.
this absolutely brilliantly on Thursday in the episode by playing the Nora O'Donnell stuff and
Yeah.
everything else? This guy's right.
Yeah.
This is
on.
exactly right. You're tired of being lied to. It's a good point. All right, Smug.
This is a great username, by the way, from This Is How I Dad.
Oh, love it.
My wonderful suburban wife is not without her flaws. Oh boy, this is a tough way to start.
Oy, oy, oy.
Having voted for Hillary and Joe in 16 and 20. Well, Ashbrook's in the same boat, but he's okay.
Oh,
Liberal COVID fear-based restrictions, including school closures.
That's just outrageous. Are you kidding me?
Hold on.
We have a Hillary Clinton and Jeb Bush supporter sitting here attacking me.
I'm gonna stand up for my friend here because last episode you said that J Mart was the best man at his wedding,
And that's true.
And we let that disinformation
verified.
fly.
That's been verified.
We let that
Look, they're saying
disinformation fly.
disinformation. That's on other lips.
I'm not gonna let you besmirch Mrs. Ashbrook.
Also, I feel like what
No,
you're
Mrs.
doing,
Ashbrook's a conservative.
Yes.
No, but what you're doing is turning a temperature level that ultimately we're going to be uncomfortable with.
We got to keep turning that dial, folks.
Because
There's no brakes on this train.
if things don't go our way, that's the guy that you have to worry about.
Yeah.
he'll snap.
It's not us. Like the guy on the end of the table is the Jan 6-2 electric
no,
boogaloo. That's the guy you need to worry about.
If Kamala wins, he's the one who's on the phone with Jake being like, I know where some conservatives are,
Oh, come on.
Just ridiculous.
No, I'm telling
Unbelievable.
you need to govern that
Yeah.
because this is our biggest
Smug,
liability.
I try to tell
here's
Ashbrook it's time to fight
the
fire with
greatest,
fire.
the greatest proof that
does
Smug
that.
is a journo. The greatest proof that Smug is a journo is the dishonesty.
Yeah. No, I think that's true. I think that's
So-
true.
Smugglesworth, can you please read the next
They
comment?
continue. Liberal COVID fear-based restrictions, including school closures, fighting to get a mask on our then 3-year-old son.
Yes.
Yes.
Pronoun police. Dudes playing women's sports and new wars in Ukraine and Israel all red-pilled her. Let's go. But she still couldn't go for Trump. Then he got shot. Him standing with blood running down his face, fist in the air. She turned to me and said, "That's badass. That's what we need. He's an a-hole, but he's not a punk." That's it.
Yeah.
She donated to him moments later, I did too, and voted early for him this week. So no, Kamala's not making inroads in the suburbs, in my house at least.
Man, that's such a great comment.
That's how you get pumped.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how much this one resonates. I cannot tell you how much this one resonates.
Yeah, top to bottom.
I mean, really top to bottom, where you're like, oh, this dude, he gets it.
Yeah, captures what a lot of people in America are thinking. When Trump raised that fist and yelled, "Fight, fight, fight," after he'd been shot, and there was really no understanding of if the shooter was still around and what was going on, he still stood up and was a leader. This guy is strong, and he has to be president.
Well, it's a separation. There are real things and there are fake things. That's a real thing, and he showed exactly what kind of leader he is in the real thing, which, there's a lot of fake things out there. Anyway, what you may have not, I doubt anybody has actually watched this. Nobody watched it live. Kamala's town hall.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Before we get to the town hall.
Oh no, you.
Oh yeah,
have
no,
another
I'm
thing?
glad
Is it
he's raising this. This is very good.
I'm sorry. I know I've hijacked the episode with my shenanigans.
You have
but
shenanigans.
I've got one more shenanigan.
Well, this is the
I've got
you
one
know,
more
the problems you have with a live episode.
I mean, this is
folks.
what happens when you're on a train
Okay.
trying to do the good work out there. I'm hijacking
This
everything
is-
in the production meeting.
And trust me, fellas, this is good. Duncan and I talked about this
Yeah.
This afternoon, and when he showed me this ad that he's going to play,
yeah.
I was like, no brainer, we have to do it.
seal of approval. All right, let's go.
So we're going to play the first part of this ad, and it's up to you, Smug, and you, Holmes, to tell us where it's going.
Wait, it's a game?
It's a game.
What do you mean where it's going?
What's the next part?
You'll
understand once you've seen it.
I got it. No, I like this.
Yeah,
okay.
no, this is fantastic.
All right.
This is real variety for the variety program. You
Okay.
listeners are so lucky. You viewers are so lucky. All right, Spaghetts, let's play that first clip from the ad.
I'm a lifelong Republican, and I voted for Trump twice, but I can't do it again.
Get the hell out.
Okay, so here's the setup. This is a Kamala ad. This is up and then it's running, and I've seen it many, many times. And this is a former Republican, voted for Trump 2 times. Where do you think this ad's going? What's the next thing he's going to say?
And he's got a dude play.
You got the dude play. You
All
hear,
right, Smug.
you
What do you got?
you hear the guitar.
I think he's going to say something really stupid that absolutely does not appeal to men because they know they have a problem with men. He's going to say something like, "But I respect women."
Oh,
and
dude,
I'm
that was
not
what
a
I was gonna say.
misogynist," Which is why I support Kamala Harris.
That was what I was going to say. I was going to say something along the lines of, but I just can't stand with somebody who denigrates our women.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
He's like,
who,
I am
Okay.
a woman
and-
respecter.
yeah.
Okay.
And who treats people so poorly. Bad integrity.
Yeah, I get
somebody who's
I get it.
felon.
It's because what you're doing is logical. You looked at the presentation of the ad, and
Yeah.
you're thinking to yourself, all right, how's this going to pivot to like I can't vote for him anymore? And you're thinking, well, it's got to be like an abortion thing or a women thing, or maybe it's like Jan 6
But if
or
you
something
start,
like that.
start man,
Yeah.
if you start like very manly as that,
Yeah.
the transition as a political professional is like, but I'm for women.
Or something that's credible at least. Like,
Yeah.
like you're setting up the
My
ad
sense is that
to
he
something.
didn't do this.
Well, no. In fact, everything.
My sense is that he didn't do this.
Everything you guys recommended would be much better than what they came up with. Spaghetti, let's play the second part of the clip.
Trump wants a national sales tax on imported goods. It'll make everything more expensive for regular people.
Got it.
Incredible.
And what I love about this ad, and it's running, I think it might be running nationwide, is
Who is this clown?
This is the Republicans for Accountability
Oh, my God.
and
wait.
Future Forward
Are you
are doing
kidding
this
me?
ad together, trying to appeal to Republicans. And what I love about this ad, and as people who do this professionally,
But I think Kamala's going to lower my taxes and Trump's going to raise them.
Right. See, and therein lies the issue, right? Is like this is what happens when we get close to every single election in this country. Is like you're looking for any more juice to squeeze, and you're looking through all the polling, and you're like, all right, well, what soft Republicans? What do they care about? Well, here in the crosstabs, when we surveyed soft Republicans, they said they really opposed a national sales tax, and so people just get obsessed with the polling. Right, they get obsessed with the polling, and they look at that, and they're like, "All right, well, that's our number one best performing message."
It's the worst consultants when you have. It's a left brain activity when you're looking at numbers, and there's no creativity on the right brain side of it.
Exactly.
And they're looking at it, and they're like, "Well, that makes sense. Let's make that case." And it never occurs to you that like nobody in the fucking world,
to think about voters as people,
that a liberal, progressive Democrat would be better for your taxes.
Right. And then also the issue of credibility, right? Like you're telling me this guy in the beginning of the ad who, looks like a rural working man with a Ford F-150, puts on the baseball
He's like,
cap.
national sales tax.
And he's like, that's it. The straw that broke the camel's back. I heard about this national sales tax. Donald Trump's going to raise my tax. It's just...
It's not believable.
Right.
Strange credulity.
That's I call it New York Times brain. That's
Yes,
what this is.
exactly.
These people are too much in their own thing. And
That's really
especially
good. That's a
groups
really
like,
good phrase.
Republicans for Accountability or whatever. These people... I'm going to say it's a grift, right?
Right.
So they want to go to either a big donor that they have, like, it might be Rob Reiner or Steve Jobs' wife, and be like, so here in the crosstab, it says that a soft Republican cares about this. So
here's what the data
we're going to do
says.
two birds with one stone. We're going to attack that Trump has a lead with men. So we're going to have a guy who drives a truck and carries a cooler and puts it in the bed of his truck,
and they
like he's
pretend-
hauling coolers.
And they pretend like they're actual political professionals.
No, the
That's
entire
other piece.
constituency for that ad is never Trump Republicans that fit in an MSNBC green room.
That's it.
They've already decided. No.
Right.
Do you know? Do
exactly.
we have any idea where it's going? Like where it's airing? Or
Dude,
what it's
I
doing?
saw it last night.
Oh, they're national.
I saw it last night
Well,
during
that's
the
the
Caps
beauty
game.
of anybody left of center. By the way, you have so much money, like people like just blind, dumb fuckery, where they stroke these multi-million-dollar checks for dumb stuff like that, and they're like, "Here's my target, 18 plus national."
They're really doing that too. They're really doing that.
They're really doing that.
They're sitting on so much money. They're like, don't even target, just carpet bomb anyone over 18.
I'm just talking to the Democrats who are hate listening to this.
You're getting hosed.
Let me just tell you, if you're hate listening to this and you're like, oh God, these guys maybe made a good point about some of this stuff. Let me just tell you, you've been taken for a boat ride
Wait.
for a long ass time.
You're talking about the Dem donors.
Yeah.
Because it's the Dem consultants who are writing on their own boat that was purchased with the rip on that ad.
Yeah, I mean, if you wonder why they all hang out like in the Caribbean in the winter, it's because you send millions of dollars and they put that ad together and they show you some national crosstabs.
There is no actual undecided Republican soft voter who maybe voted for Nikki Haley who watches that ad and is like, "Yep, that's believable."
Nobody would ever believe that Kamala Harris is going to be better for tax rates.
Right.
I mean, Jesus, that's great. I'm glad you play that. You're right. We got that wrong.
I'm sorry.
We got
sorry,
that.
I had to hijack it.
Okay. All right. So let's do the Kamala thing. You got to watch a series of clips. We're going to do this real fast. Clip 2, please.
Right now, Anderson, the document, it is well documented that some of the richest people in our country have gotten away with a zero tax rate.
But if you're earning $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 under your plan, there's a good chance your taxes go up.
We can't have this conversation without knowing it's a very complicated situation. Right? If you're talking about a small business owner, I'm going to cut taxes for small businesses, right? Because I know that they need the overhead, the money that they need for overhead to actually benefit the growth of their business, which benefits our economy as a whole.
Dude, she doesn't even know. She doesn't
understand it.
She doesn't know how it works.
She's plugged in like a couple of words that she's heard.
Right.
Overhead.
Right.
Yeah.
And things, and she's like, "No,
that doesn't make sense. That's not how any of this works."
No, that's not it. Like, you don't understand. I think what her plan was is like $50,000 tax deduction for year one of people who start small businesses.
Yeah.
And then the rest of her plan is to tax them at a 50% fucking
Right.
rate.
And that's the thing is like when you start a new small business, and I just know this because we've done it.
Hey,
Everybody's
turns
sitting
out
here.
we've had a small business.
Yeah. Year one, you don't make any money. Like
that's the thing.
That's the thing.
But at the same point, Kamala's like, yoink.
Yeah, right.
Let me take half of whatever it is that you own. I mean, the reason that there's not upward mobility in this country, and this thing can really get me going.
Yes. Let's talk about it.
The reason that there is not upward mobility, and the reason that there is a class differential in the top 10% versus the bottom 90 is because Democratic policies don't allow for anybody to actually start businesses and run successful businesses, because everybody eventually runs into a down year. But if you're paying 50% taxes in an up year, you don't have any liquidity to carry over to the next year.
Right.
To maintain
And
the same
and the
business.
Democrats talk about, oh, well, we're gonna tax the billionaires, and it's like you could confiscate all the wealth of every billionaire in the United States. You could fund the American government for 8 months.
You don't fund the interest.
Right. So what actually happens? What actually happens is they go and they tax the living shit out of every small business owner in this country.
It's the W-2 guy.
Yeah.
You know, like anybody who is making a very good W-2 earner, like somebody who's just working for a business or as a pass-through bit, like an LLC or something
like a K-1
that.
filer.
Yeah. Like if you have that and you make a certain amount of income, they're like, those are the rich people.
Yeah.
Never mind the fact that you're making like $200,000 and you're supporting a family of 5 and you try to float $2.5 million of college expenses on top of that, which, by the way, they say is free, but it's not free for you.
Mm-hmm.
Not free for you because now you're the rich person. And all of that stuff gets packaged together and they're like, well, we're taxing the rich. They're going to pay their fair share. Pay their fair share? Pay their fair share. Like, they don't have it's the most economically incompetent people on the face of the planet.
And I mean, the best source of her being incompetent is she has not once worked in the private sector.
Oh my God, what are you doing?
Never.
Like, so you've got someone who says that they've got a tax plan. They've never worked in the private sector.
Right.
Tim Walz never worked in the private sector.
Right.
Like,
oh,
these
you're kidding.
people
I
have
would
no
have
idea.
guessed he was like built a big business or something.
I was just helping my friend.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to clip 3. This is.
Is there something you can point to?
No. You can play the clip. Sorry. So the clip is about Kamala, about her past mistakes, and like what she's learned.
Is there something you can point to in your life, political life, or in your life in the last 4 years that you think is a mistake that you have learned from?
I mean, I've made many mistakes.
She's so
they
bad.
range from, if you've ever parented a child, you make lots of mistakes too.
Just listen to where she
in my
lands.
role as vice president, I mean, I've probably worked very hard at making sure that I am well versed on issues.
come on.
And I
Have
think
you
that is
actually?
very
I mean, that's
important. It's a
a
mistake
lot.
not to be well versed on an issue and feel compelled to answer a question.
There you go. Yeah, you weren't well versed. Like, what? She's
What
like,
the fuck
I've
was
made,
that?
They're big.
mistakes. It's like, are you?
What's your biggest mistake? Well, I like to be well versed on issues, and it's a mistake not to be.
I mean, it is the most outrageous thing I've ever heard from a politician. I can't imagine that from a candidate in a Senate race, much less somebody who's going to try to lead the free world.
No, honestly,
why
if
didn't
if that question showed up in a city council race and somebody answered it that way, he'd be like,
yeah, not ready.
And he'd be like, this person's not ready.
It was the perfect opportunity for her to say, I was asked recently what I would do differently than Joe Biden, and I didn't have an answer. That was my biggest mistake because what I would do differently is X, Y, and Z. If she would have done that.
What if she said, I really love Joe Biden, and I think highly of him. And I've been asked several times about when I noticed that he was declining or whatever. And my instinct is to protect him because I love him. And I think he's done a really good job for this country. But I know that there was a decline.
She should have said that.
What if she said that?
That would have made so much news, and,
What if
people would have thought, "Oh, there's more authenticity to this liar
the
than
thing,
we
yeah.
ever expected."
People would
She
actually
wins
be
the
like, well,
election
she's
with
not
that answer.
completely
She
fake.
should.
Yep.
She should say that, but
She wins the election with that answer. All right, let's go to the next clip. Clip 4.
What weaknesses do you bring to the table, and how do you plan to overcome them while you're in office?
This is the easiest question.
That's a great question, Joe. Well, I am certainly not perfect, so let's start there.
Oh my God.
And I think that perhaps a weakness, some would say, but I actually think it's a strength, is I really do value having a team of very smart people around me who bring to
because some
my
people think it's a
decision-making
weakness
process
to have smart people.
I just
different
care too much.
perspectives. My team will tell you I am constantly saying, let's kick the tire on that.
Oh,
let's
come
kick the
on.
tires on it.
Oh, it's a weak. You guys, I don't know if you guys knew this, but it's commonly perceived as a weakness to have smart people.
Yeah.
Doing smart
To
things
kick
that
the tires.
challenge
Yeah.
perceptions when you're in
all
the White
these
House.
all these questions are like the most generic questions that like.
How do you not have an answer?
When you're applying to your first job, you're asked these at your interview.
Yeah.
There is not a single Democrat who will say it on the record today, but every smart Democrat who watched that at CNN 2 weeks out from the election was like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
what
You
have
know,
we gotten
what
ourselves
if-
into?"
It makes me want someone to actually ask an even simpler question and just ask her, "What's your favorite color?" And just see what she says, because it's gonna be just as dumb as that. She literally just can't answer.
Or the
that would be
age-old
very
question, why you're running.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she doesn't have a
can't.
succinct answer
She
for any of
can't.
this.
No.
It's absolutely brilliant. I mean, what if she answered, "What's your biggest weakness?" by saying, like, "Look, I grew up in politics in California, and my views were shaped by a very much more liberal point of view than is to the rest of the country. But as a vice president, I saw the value of things like fracking,
Right.
things like whatever.
Right.
And so if I have a weakness, it's that I'm just now becoming exposed
Right.
to all the powers that we have within this country to make this country even better than it already is. What if she said that?
And that's the thing is like
She wins.
That
Be
touches
so
on
easy.
one of her actual weaknesses, and one that I think a lot of Democrats are realizing is that she is a product of the California Democrat machine. She didn't even make it to Iowa when there was an actual presidential primary.
Mm-hmm.
She was handed this job, like she's been handed all her jobs, and then she's been handed the candidacy, and that's what you get. Someone who never had to fight for it, earn from it, or learn anything from it. She's got no
right.
lessons.
You're right.
Right.
Let's play the next clip, please, Spaghettis.
2022, 2023, there were record border crossings. Your administration took hundreds of executive actions. It didn't stem the flow. Numbers kept going up. Finally, in 2024, just in June, 3 weeks before the first presidential debate with Joe Biden, you institute executive actions that had a dramatic impact, really shut down people crossing over. Why didn't your administration do that in 2022, 2023?
First of all, you're exactly right, Anderson. And as of today, we have cut the flow of immigration by over half. In fact, the numbers I saw most recently, illegal immigration
But if
is
it was
low.
that
But hold
easy
on, let
with
me
that
finish.
executive action, why not do it in 2022, 2023?
Yeah,
Because
right.
we were working with Congress and hoping that actually we could have a long-term fix to
Nonsense.
the problem instead of a
Bullshit.
short-term fix.
You couldn't have done one and both at the same time?
Well, here's the thing. We have
Yeah.
to understand that ultimately this problem is going to be fixed through congressional action.
See, that's the thing. She can't take credit for the flow of migrants going down unless she admits They could have done it at any time.
Yeah.
They could have done it on day one, where instead of eliminating those Trump executive orders, they kept them in place.
Which is a reason why Trump's closing message, and you guys have all seen this, people listening to the show have seen this, Trump's closing message is Kamala broke it, Trump will fix it.
Yeah.
In this issue, more than anything else, goes to that point because
We talked
they
about
opened
this
the border.
a year ago.
Yeah.
Where we said, if there's one issue they're not going to get it right on, it's immigration.
Yep.
Because nobody actually believes that she's tough on the border.
Right.
And it's true. It's playing out. You see it in polls. It's why everything's really close. All right, we got to play a game.
Yes. King of the Hill is back on a Friday night.
We have a defending champion. It's Ashbrook with Sherry Jacobus, who has a bit of advantage because he's our ring announcer. And also, he has the craziest person that I've ever heard in my life. And she's in the election window.
Yeah, and Smug, I believe, is our challenger. Is that right?
That's right.
Who are you bringing?
Like I always say, you have to fight fire with fire, especially this close to an election. I'm bringing Jen Rubin.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
This is going to be a good battle of titans.
Let's go ringside.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. It's time for King of the Hill. In the red corner, fighting from the Washington Post, Jennifer Bahrain Worms Rubin. And now, in the blue corner, fighting from her own Twitter account, and current champion of the world, Kami Jerry Jacobus.
God, it's just so
Best in
good.
the business.
He does a little extra when he's in the game. We've established this.
He does.
I didn't know it was going to be Jen Brainworms.
Oh.
Well, he puts a thumb, a little
at
bit of
that.
a thumb on the scale. So wait, you didn't know it right up until you
No.
started announcing?
I knew he'd start cheating.
I mean, that's how
doing
you know
this.
he's a professional.
God, what a pro.
What a pro.
What a pro. All right, I'm bailiff.
Yeah.
Judge.
I'm judge. So, defending champion, John Ashbrook, you have to go first.
Okay, so I'm going to pull up my exhibits.
Okay.
Here, just give me a one.
Oh, he
I'd
doesn't
like it
have
if
them open?
defense.
Minute,
I'd like it if
please,
the
and
council was
spaghetti.
prepared to play
Okay,
a
today,
game.
Grandpa.
Well, he did do
I'd
the
like it.
announcing, so, we'll give him a little hiatus here.
Spaghetti exhibit number 6, please. Exhibit 6. Jerry Jacobus writes, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden must replace Merrick Garland.
God.
Dump Garland just after the election and install a pit bull acting AG who stays for the Harris administration. Smooth transition from Biden to Harris. Nail Trump, MTG, etc.
MTG? Where did she get caught in the crossfire?
This is interesting to me because this is a former Republican who is advocating that Kamala Harris use the Department of Justice to go after her political opponents, something that we all know the Biden administration is currently doing, but the Harris campaign is accusing Trump of being interested in.
Well reasons.
Also, I mean, I'll share Jacobus. The Merrick Garland thing is kind of like a well-trodden
Oh,
path.
he's trying
wow.
to play
That's fine.
redundancy of Merrick
What's
Garland.
your take, Smug?
Can I get Exhibit 3, please? And there's just so much to go over here. First off, in her username, she has added. This is the conservative writer for the Washington Post.
We
Jen
aren't
Rubin
going
has
back.
added a coconut tree, which,
Oh
as
my
all
God.
conservative activists are wont to do. Her tweet says, WTF is wrong with the media that Kelly and Atlantic Hitler story is not dominating.
No.
They simply don't understand the stakes, or are they intent on currying favor with MAGA gang? It's a disgrace. Number one, she's like, why is the media in the back for Trump so much? Which is just like, okay, the brainworms are officially in control. But to her, like, being shocked that, like, what is wrong with the media that the Kelly and Atlantic Hitler story is not dominating? Like, what a grasp
let me
on
just
this
say-
election to be like, why isn't that?
As a bailiff, as a nonpartisan participant in this, I will say that it may not be known to Jennifer Rubin, but the absolutely unattributed, completely single source, blind sourced effort to try to promote this John Kelly story led the CBS Evening News.
Yeah.
Led it.
Honestly, as judge, I think that's what makes it even more funny, is that
That's not enough.
it's not enough for Jen Rubin, Like, what she is expecting is that in 100-point font in Times Square, the Atlantic story by Jeffrey Goldberg is blown up on every skyscraper.
Uh-huh.
That every Sesame Street character in Times Square has one of those spinning signs with the story on it. Only at that point would she be satisfied that the media is fully doing its job. And
Even
for
then,
that reason,
if it didn't work,
round one,
if it didn't work, she wouldn't be satisfied.
she would. Goes to Smug.
Good work.
Love that. So this, can I get Exhibit 2, please? This is just too much. Imagine if mainstream outlets had covered Trump's dementia from the beginning.
Oh my god, dude! Holy shit! She's got a hot. We might. Sherry might be in trouble.
She's got a hot bat.
Sherry might be in trouble.
It's
Ashbrook.
just short and sweet.
You never know. You never know.
I didn't need 10 hours to explain it like Ashbrook does with his tweets. Just straight up.
Okay, all right, counsel. All right, pipe down. Ashbrook, what do you have?
Spaghetti exhibit number 5. No explanation needed. Cherry writes, white men who support Trump think rape is their right.
That's not. That's game. That's game.
Okay.
That's game.
We have a 1-to-1 match here. I'm sorry, Smug.
Jeez, I've
Ashbrook
never
wins
seen a
round two.
nuclear bomb. That can we
It's
just
a
say
Moab.
to T-Rex and everyone out there who follows this game, that is the single most nuclear option that's ever been deployed on this game.
That is just such insanity.
That,
It is.
That is, I can't think of anything that has come close. That is unfucking real.
Yes. So round 3, unfortunately, has to go back to you, Ashbrook. I hope you got something good.
Exhibit 7, please, Spaghetti. If drinking half a bottle of a fairly decent chilled Pinot Grigio with my windows open in fabulous weather over the course of 4 hours is wrong, I don't want to be right.
All right.
That's Cherry
That's
Jacobus.
and for people who have watched this game for a long time, that's sort of the deep lore.
There's
of
a
Sherry.
genre there.
Yeah.
There it is. Although nobody believes that she put the rest of the half of the bottle back in the fridge.
And also, it was missing the cats. If we're being honest, it was missing some content about the cats.
It was
Yeah,
missing
she's come better.
So there's an opening, Smug.
Exhibit 4, please. This is just so incredible. Jen Rubin. Harris' last words about not giving into despair are some of the most powerful I have heard in this or any campaign. Wow.
No.
Wow.
No. This is a woman old enough to recall, like, JFK speeches.
Yeah.
And she's blowing.
Are you telling me, Jen, that Abraham Lincoln's words didn't move you?
Like, Reagan tear down this wall.
She's like, nope.
Nope.
It's Kamala Harris.
It was
most
Kamala
inspiring
Harris.
figure ever.
The tough thing in this is, like, it's two different plays. It's like Ashbrook's play is to the judge and jury who understand. We've obviously watched a lot of Sherry, so we understand the deep lore of Sherry. She loves her feral cats and feeding them and drinking wine and complaining on the internet that, like, Fox won't have her on anymore, which is very, very funny.
I didn't know she was ever on Fox.
Yeah, no. Remember, she said that there was a conspiracy theory that got her kicked off of cable news.
Well, no, she had a CNN contract.
Oh, I'm sorry, not Fox, CNN.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a CNN contract. But she thinks, like, that Putin orchestrated her being removed from television or
Yes.
something like that.
That's
I
right.
don't know. I can't follow it all. But there is no more loyal Democratic foot soldier in Washington media than Jen Rubin, and I think in this she earns her stripes. We played those clips of Kamala Harris being asked the most simple questions in the world, and to act like you are moved as a professional
The best
who
in
follows
history.
politics
In history.
and saying it's the best in history is just such a blindly partisan take from somebody who claims to be the conservative commentator. And for that reason, it is an upset, folks. Smug wins. Jen Rubin unseats Sherry My Sherry.
That's another L for Ashbrook.
I will say, you definitely won. The judge's decision, completely
100% right.
correct. Completely correct.
Thank you.
I wouldn't have come down any other way. The second is worth like a 1.5 points.
That's insanity.
It's worth a point and a half.
And I think it emphasizes the titans who are facing off against each other today. This is Ali, Frazier.
Yeah.
And sometimes Ali wins, sometimes Frazier wins. But
this is the first 2 1.5 I've ever seen in my life.
The bailiff is awarding you 1.5
because I've literally never.
He's keeping.
Seen
It's like he's an old timer out on the bleachers. He's keeping his own score in the ball game.
Yeah. No. I'm yes.
Which is why he's such a valuable member of the team.
And I'm going to be judged next week. So everybody keep that in mind. Keep that in mind.
Very fair.
Listen, I can't thank you enough for joining us live. We have a blast doing this, obviously. It's Friday night. Everybody's having a good time with it. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your attention. We're trying to provide you some good information, some real information, unlike the shit that you get everywhere else. And we're trying to have some fun with it. And so for all of you, the hundreds of thousands of you that have joined us and become a part of our family here over the last couple of months, thanks for doing it. We're not going to let you down. We're going to give you everything we've got from here on out and then beyond. Because trust me, we got some fun stuff planned for post-election day too. With that, Smug, I think we did it.
I think so. Absolute banger of an episode. Gentlemen, thank you so much to the Minions. Remember, like and subscribe. Make sure everyone can enjoy the show with you. So, until next time, Minions, keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs. We'll see you on Tuesday. Stay ruthless.